Get a haircut.
Do you wanna?
You-
To our finance meeting, March 21st. It's a little after 6 p.m. I do want to state that we do have 2 council members and a vacant seat. One council member is out of town, won't be back tonight, and our council member in District 3 had a very close friend pass away, so she won't be here tonight. And I'll ask everyone to rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Yeah. Flag's beautiful. Thank you, Tamara. We'll do the official roll. Councilmember Gully's not here. Council District 2 is vacant. Council District 3, Councilmember Parator is out of town. Councilmember Cummings.
Present.
Councilmember December.
Present.
Councilmember Kennedy.
Present.
And Council President Mantello is here. Public forum, would anyone like to speak on anything on this evening's agenda? Please step up to the podium. You'll have 5 minutes, state your name and address. And I see we have quite a few people in line. So we will close the public hearing as no one is requesting to speak. Local laws, none. Ordinance 16, ordinance declaring certain city-owned property as surplus and directing the comptroller to dispose of said property. Council President Mantello, at the request of the administration, do I have a motion? Motion, Councilmember Cummings, do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Councilmember December, discussion? Andy, anything outlandish? No? Okay.
Trucks.
Trucks, light trucks. Okay, all in favor? Opposed? Ordinance 16 carries 4-0. Ordinance 17, ordinance amending the 2019 general fund budget to allocate remaining funds from the U.S. Department of Justice Office of Violence Against Women to the Troy Police Department. Council President Mantello, at the request of the administration, do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Motion, Councilmember Kennedy, do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Ty, we'll give it to Councilmember December, discussion. Andy, good size grant here.
Yeah, it's the remaining balance of the grant.
Oh,
is what
okay,
it is.
okay, very good.
Council President?
Yes, Councilmember.
Do we have a general, can someone speak to what these types of funds have been used for in the past? I see there's a lot of conditions on how they can be used. Is there a bit of an overview you can give us?
Yeah, if you look at the if you go the Schedule A,
Mhm.
the bulk, it's used to subsidize a salary of one of the officers in the department. There's funds available for overtime, and then there's a consultant that is used for the purpose of the grant for that specific purpose. I would recommend a conversation with police.
Yeah,
Yeah, okay.
if he's here, he does tend to be at the regular meetings, we can ask then or
During the regular.
email prior,
Great.
okay?
Thank you.
Thanks, Andy. Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ordinance 17 carries 4-0. Ordinance 18, ordinance approving settlement of tax certiorari proceedings instituted by David Kersner on the assessment roll in the city of Troy. Council President Mantello, at the request of the administration, do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Motion, Councilmember Kennedy, do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Councilmember December. Dan, this is real straightforward and honestly, I have an issue with a lot of these. I think this one is common sense, and I'm actually going
It
to
is.
support it.
Well, thank you. If we go to trial, we basically wind up with a number that we're settling in.
Right.
Agree to our number, saves us the cost of the appraiser at trial. As you see, the city liability is minimal.
Yep.
So,
Very good, good work. Councilmember Cummings.
Can you just give a sense of what dropped the value? This is a single family home?
No, it's a two-unit rental unit, 2 apartment buildings. The owner is he lives downstate in Brooklyn, I believe. He owns at least 4 or 5 other properties in the city of Troy. It's just a 2-unit. I believe it's over by the hospital.
So is it valued based on rental income or based on comparable?
Both. Both appraisers use both a sales approach and income approach. They look at rents. I mean, it's not, I wouldn't say they're in very good condition. I'd say they're in average condition. So they base the rents upon similar facilities.
So what happened, if this person invests in the property a bit, gets it looking better, and raises the rent, do we get a chance to reassess it back up?
You can only reassess a rental property if there's a change in occupancy greater than 25%. In this case, well, one thing about the settlement, I don't know if you picked it up or not, this is only for the year 2017.
I saw
right?
that.
This is a self-represented individual. He did not know enough about 2018, so as a matter of law, the court does not have jurisdiction to change the 2018. So the 2018 assessment will reflect $73,500. So basically, he's getting the relief for only 1 year. For 2018, it's at $73,500, and I believe the 2019 rule has it at that number as well.
And then will it remain at that level unless he creates it back down again?
He can grieve it, and it's up to the board of review to decide whether his proof is availing or not.
Gotcha.
And Dan, you mentioned 2 other proceedings that we actually are fighting him
Yes.
on. Can you go into that quickly?
I don't have the whole file
Okay.
with me, but they
You
are.
could email me if you like.
Yeah. I'll send you the information on multi-unit apartment buildings. Our appraisal supports the assessments of both of them.
Okay,
I've advised him accordingly, he's self-represented, so it'll be a very interesting trial.
interesting.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Keep us posted.
Okay.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, ordinance 18 passes 4-0. Ordinance 19, ordinance transferring funds within the 2019 general fund budget. Council President Mantello, at the request of the administration, do I have a motion? Motion, Councilmember Cummings, do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Councilmember December. It says new equipment, 8,700. What's the new equipment, Andy?
What it is specifically, I'm not sure. I know it's for the golf course. It was originally planned to be rented,
I saw that.
but it's actually cheaper to buy it outright than it is to continue to rent it. So that's why we're taking it out of rentals.
Okay,
Just weighing out, cost benefit.
if you could just find out what it is,
Yeah.
that's fine. Okay, thanks. Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Actually, sorry, just,
Yes.
when you're finding
Sure.
that out, could you also, so rentals equipment still has,
No, they subtracted
right, but so it
87,
still has
106.
106 in it, yeah.
The remaining funds in that line are for the golf carts.
That's what I was saying.
The golf carts are the main thing that we rent them from someone else and then rent them back out to.
Yeah, we rent them for the season and then for the use, and then the season's over, the year return.
Gotcha.
Awesome. Further discussion? We already voted, but based on that, you're still good?
Okay.
All right, 4-0. Ordinance 19, ordinance 22, ordinance authorizing settlement of 8 workers' comp claims to wit Antonio Velasquez versus the City of Troy, New York. Council President Mantello, at the request of the administration, do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Motion, Councilmember December, do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Councilmember Cummings. I guess on this one, I'm not sure who could answer it. I see that Mr. Caruso might not be here. I guess my big question, there were 8 claims, and then this one. were there 9 different injuries? Were they all the same? And why would we not have settled sooner?
I know that there's 8 separate claims. This is to settle all of the claims.
Right.
Why it wasn't done sooner, that's a good question. But this isn't like a 9th one. This closes all the 8.
All the, okay. And it comes out of our reserve fund?
Right, so if I can just talk about 20,
Yeah,
if you don't mind.
perfect,
So-
perfect.
So the funding for it is gonna come out of the workers' compensation reserve.
Mhm.
The thought behind that is a one-time settlement, match it with a one-time influx of money, to use it. That's what the reserves are there for, to be
Right.
honest.
What is the process to refill that reserve?
There is no, pursuant to GML, there is no requirement to replenish the reserve once it's used. The only reserve the city has, if there's a requirement to replenish what you use, is the snow and ice reserve that has to be replenished over 2 years. With that said, there is legislation that was previously passed in 1997 that was amended last year there is funding, there's a calculation that goes into year end that says any surplus that's greater than 4% of the final amended budget of the fiscal year is allocated amongst the insurance, workers' comp, snow and ice, capital, and one other one that I can't remember off the top of my head, reserve. It's an allocation of 80% goes to capital, 10%, 5%, and 2.5% to the other 2.
Okay.
So there is a method to replenish the reserve, but there's no requirement to replenish what you use.
This is the first drawdown.
This is the first time that I've ever brought legislation to use the reserves.
And I notice our transfer, Andy, is for $110. Is that because
There's
we have to?
there's about $110,300 in the reserve, so I took 110.
Okay, all right. And the other 10 is coming?
That'll come out of the workers' comp account.
Oh, I
The
see.
current year
Yep,
appropriation. So I
yep.
just want to use as much as I could
Okay,
from the reserve.
very good.
Council President?
Yes.
And
Council-
did I understand that correctly? There's no statutory requirements for thresholds to be maintained at any given level?
Some of the reserve, it depends on the reserve.
Okay.
For workers' compensation, there's no requirement to replenish what you use. For snow and ice, there is. There's snow and ice you have to replenish within 2 years of using it. But that's the only one of the city's reserves that has that requirement. But we have the legislation to put money into reserves.
Thank you.
Thanks, Andy. Further discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ordinance 22 carries 4-0. Now the transfer of funds, ordinance 20, ordinance amending the 2019 general fund budget to appropriate funds from the workers' comp reserve. Council President Mantello, at the request of the administration, do I have a motion?
Motion.
Motion, Councilmember December, do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Councilmember Cummings. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ordinance 20 carries 4-0. Ordinance 21, ordinance amending the City of Troy, New York travel policy. Council President Mantello, at the request of the administration, do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Motion, Councilmember Kennedy, do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Councilmember Cummings. I did want to give a pat on the back to the administration and our city auditor. I know that this hasn't been amended since 2006. And some of the changes, just for the folks out there, an increased level of approval for travel within the city. Andy, is there something?
No.
Okay. To travel within the city to now include both the mayor and the city auditor. Number 2, clarification on the reimbursement of meal expenses. Number 3, additional forms to be completed, which provide support for the travel reimbursement being made by the city. Number 4 is a biggie. I know that a couple of the prior auditors had a tough time, and I know that folks are really working hard to comply with this, clarifying the requirement that receipts must be submitted for all reimbursements within this specific threshold. So, for Andy, did you want to add anything to this? I think it's really solid.
The one big thing I want to do is I think Selena Skiba deserves a lot of credit for this because she's the
Okay.
one who did all of the legwork on it.
Okay,
It was an idea that originated in our office. I know that Patty O'Brien had started looking at some of this stuff while we went through her notes, but Selena did a tremendous amount of work to get this thing cleaned up.
Thank
It's-
you.
It's kind of, the goal was to mirror what we're doing now and strengthen it,
right.
and I think she did a phenomenal.
I really want to commend your office. I know a lot of time is put into amending policies like this, so thank you. And please thank Selena. Okay, awesome. Further discussion?
Council President?
Yes, Councilmember Kennedy.
Is there any section of the policy about if there's media contact while traveling outside of the city, on behalf of the city? Get a call from the news media? If is John Salvator?
Yeah.
Is there, should we put anything in here about whether you make contact with the media or when you're traveling outside of the city, on behalf of the city? Or would you still be the,
I'm not following your question.
well, there was an incident today, I believe, that, a local official made contact with, one of the local newspapers while he was traveling on behalf of a local municipality. And
Relative to the travel.
I'm gonna call the reimbursements.
all right, it's all right. We can move on.
I know I know the story you referenced, I don't know the relevancy to this particular.
It's just a travel policy. I wasn't sure if it was just,
I don't know if it's,
it's just for,
This is more
Yeah,
financial.
financial.
It's a financial policy for reimbursements.
Do you want to disclose what happened for the rest of us? Now that you brought it up, was there? Ah, jeez. All right, that's county. Jeez, come on. Thank you. And once again, Andy, thank you to your department. Okay?
Thank you, Andy.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Beautiful. Ordinance 21 carries 4-0. Ordinance 23, ordinance amending the special grants fund budget. Councilmember Cummings at the request of the administration. Do I have a motion? You are funny, Mr. Kennedy. You are.
I'll make a motion.
Okay, motion, Councilmember December. Second. Do we have a second?
I will second it.
Second by Councilmember Cummings. Do you want to second that since Councilmember Cummings
Sure.
is the sponsor? TJ?
hey, I'll second that.
Okay, Councilmember Kennedy will second. On the discussion on this, I'll wait for the other council members and we can talk about it at the regular meeting. But as you all know, my whole shtick was the $100,000 that, I would like to have seen going toward other things and maybe put the zoning update on hold. But, so that's my only drawback on this, but, we can discuss that at the regular meeting.
So you're having to pass it.
Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? I'll oppose this. 3-1. All right. Ordinance 24, ordinance declaring certain.
We only have 3 people on the housing. Is that?
Oh, yeah, you're right. So
Should we
technically, it would not.
table it or should we pass it
Why
through?
don't we table
Just
it?
special.
All right. I have no problem if you want to make a motion to table.
All right, so a motion to reconsider first.
Motion to
All right,
reconsider.
you have to do a motion to
Do-
reconsider, sorry.
Yeah, I'll put a motion to reconsider. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you. All in favor of reconsidering?
Aye.
Opposed? 4-0 reconsider.
I'll make a motion to table this.
I'll
until the-
second the table.
Great.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? 4-0 to table and we'll bring it back.
Yeah.
Okay? forgot our
Yeah,
vacancy.
I know.
It's very sad. Okay, ordinance 24. Ordinance declaring certain city-owned property as surplus and directing the comptroller to dispose of said property. Council President Mantello, at the request of the administration, do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Motion, Councilmember Kennedy, do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Councilmember Cummings, discussion. Andy, did you want to add anything to this one? It's pretty quickly.
This is a fire truck.
Yes.
Do we have other fire
Councilmember
trucks?
Cummings?
Yeah, Council President. Do we have other fire trucks of this model?
I don't believe so.
I just know there were some old fire trucks that we were struggling to get parts for, and I want to make sure we strip it if we do. But
My guess is that if.
assuming,
My guess is they would have taken.
all right, we're good then.
Okay, thank you, Andy. Thank you, Councilmember Cummings, for raising that. Further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Ordinance 24 carries 4-0. Ordinance 25, ordinance approving settlement and tax certiorari proceedings instituted by 19-25 Second Street LLC, the assessment role of the City of Troy. Council President Mantello, at the request of the administration, do I have a motion?
Motion?
Motion, Councilmember Cummings, do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Councilmember December. On the discussion, Dan, do you mind?
Lots of questions.
Yeah, and just so you know, I was recommending that we table this to review it further till the next finance.
Okay.
I can go through my questions. I know that some of the council would rather at least see if you're able to answer these, and I will go through them. Give me 2 seconds, and here we go. I know we bought it for, it looks like,
875.
yeah, we're looking at 980K assessment reduction. So has Sharon or you done a comparison, Dan, of any similar buildings downtown?
Yes, and the issue with this is that the top 3 floors are vacant. It's an income-producing property. It was purchased for leasing. Because he only receives rent for the bottom floor, which is still leased by Pioneer for their branch bank. He has taken out permits for the second and third floor. He's in the process of fitting them up for possible tenants, so there's no CO for the second and third floor.
Mhm.
So until a C of O is issued, we can't assess it as habitable space. Once a C of O is issued and the spot is leased out, then we can revise the assessment to reflect all 3 floors being leased out. So right now, this reflects, 33% of the build, 1 floor of 3 being leased out. And that's the way you value income producing properties. We have his income and expenses, we have his rent roll, we look at floor plans, we look at the permits. Sharon inspected the building with the owner. I went through it, I looked at dollars per square foot versus other buildings in the downtown improvement district. And based on, the size, the age, the condition, the fact that 2 of the 3 floors are inhabitable right now, and will be until the C of Os are issued, that's what this value reflects.
And you mentioned the other 2 grievances. Can you go
Oh,
into,
yeah.
because I know that that's part of the proposal here, just so folks are aware, what's being proposed, Pioneer, and frankly, I mean, they moved quick. Clearly, it was almost a fire sale. But Pioneer moved, the 25 or the 19-25 Second Street LLC bought the property for 8 something. The assessment is 1.8, I believe, and we're looking at 980K reduction. But saying that he would like to include 25 Second Street and First Street lot, can you go into those
I believe
grievances?
one is a parking lot and the other, I don't know if it has a building on it or not. He's just discontinuing those without any change in the assessment. There's no reduction for those 2 parcels. In fact, I believe there's 2 years at issue, 17 and 18. In 2018, he did not bring the suit on the 3rd lot, which I'm not sure, I don't have the information about that lot
I
here.
think 25 may be a 3-story building, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, and I think, I want to say it was assessed in the neighborhood of $300,000 or $400,000, and he was satisfied with the assessment, he's just discontinuing the proceeding on that.
And then I asked the amount of the assessment when we went through the citywide reassessment. Can you possibly get that from Sharon?
Yeah, I
maybe?
can find that.
Okay, and then my last was the total yearly property tax revenues that would be lost as a result of the proposed reduction.
Right, that's right there in the graph at the bottom of the memorandum.
Can you break it out though? I think
Yeah,
I,
the city accounts for $27,234.20.
So that-
13,600.
And they are
Yeah.
waiving that, so, basically, we are setting the assessment above the sale price, and they're waiving all refunds against the city. I thought it was a pretty good deal.
and that would be, and, okay, I got you.
Sure.
Councilmember Cummings.
Just to be clear, this is 2017 and 18, is it also going forward?
Well, that's,
Yes, it goes under the law, the next 3 years would be at the $900,000. Like I
The
said,
next 3 years,
2019, 2020, and 2021.
2021, that's,
Okay.
okay.
whether or not he gets a new CO, or
No.
when he gets a CO, then it would change.
Now, once, this reflects the valuation with only one floor being leased out. Once there's, what the law says is when there's a change in occupancy greater than 25%, then the assessor can review and revise the assessment if she deems necessary. So once the square footage is rented out that triggers 25%, she can go in, take a look, and revise it.
Great. Let's see.
Chair?
I guess more,
2 seconds, yep, go ahead.
more broadly, I'm, just because we did have one case last year on River Street, where it's a similar thing, it was a vacant building, largely vacant building, that got a reduced valuation of $200,000. Can you speak a bit to the process of lowering valuation because of vacancy? It strikes me that it's a little bit of a conflict or a weird incentive to give.
Yeah. It's almost like the
I assume
lock
it's state law and we can't to make decisions about this,
The
but
way income-producing properties are valued, whether it's a hotel, an apartment building, senior living facilities, they're all based upon the income stream that they generate. So what you do is you figure out the market rents for the gross income, you deduct a vacancy factor, and then you subtract expenses related to the operation and maintenance of the property. Once you do that, you look to the market and investor surveys, and you come up with an applicable capitalization rate, which is applied to net operating income that you get when you deduct the expenses from the income. When you capitalize net operating income, you get the market value. That's the way income-producing properties are valued in New York State.
alright, so just to be clear, that income producing ability,
Yes.
is that based on average rents in the area or based on actual rents in the building?
You look at the actual rents, and then you compare them to the market. So it's what's called economic rent.
So in this case, they're making 0% of market on those 2 floors.
Yeah.
Why do we value it
Right.
based on what they're actually getting rather than based on what the market could get?
You look at both the sales and income approach, because only 1/3 of the building or 1 floor out of 3 is leased out. We also look at sales data for similar income producing properties. If you have a 3-floor property that sells with only 1 floor occupied, it's not going to sell. It doesn't have the income stream that an investor would purchase versus a 3-story building that's fully occupied.
Sure.
As Councilmember Cummings stated, though, it's almost backwards, like we're giving, well, it's being recommended, reduce the assessment because you have a high vacancy. And when you fill those floors, your assessment's going to go up. What gives the incentive of that property owner to, you know?
Because as an investor, you want to maximize your investment. Why would you only receive 30% of rent when you can achieve 100%?
I get that, but this
Just-
is,
I mean,
like,
certainly,
this is a
the tax is
huge
gonna be some
reduction.
small portion
Right.
of whatever
Right,
new
and
income they're
effective
getting.
tax rate, which is a percentage of
Sure.
value.
So essentially, what is the effective tax rate that we try to get to on,
I'd have to
Income-
divide
income
41
property.
point, well, I'd have to do a couple of calculations to figure out the ETR. The ETR is usually somewhere between, I don't know, 2.5% to a high of, high 3, effective tax rate, which is, the tax rates in various jurisdictions divided by equalization rate, and then you apply it to the value.
And, as I stated, I know where you're coming from, Dan. I just, me at least, and obviously you guys can vote on this, I just don't feel comfortable at this time, moving forward. We can, do some homework, bring it back at the finance meeting in April. I would like to look into it a little more. It's just a huge assessment reduction, and I just want to make sure that if we do decide to do it, we do
I'm trying to
diligently.
table it, but,
And Councilmember Kennedy.
I just had one question
Yeah.
about whether and how much, if they're paying like the vacancy
Yeah,
registry fees.
it's a good,
Vacant building, Pioneer's in there.
Usually, isn't it you pay per unit or per building?
It's a vacant structure.
oh, I thought it was per unit,
No, completely vacant. Well, there's somebody there.
right?
It's occupied. It's being used.
Yeah,
It's when it's the structures that aren't being
Yeah.
used is when it's assessed.
yeah. I thought wasn't Councilmember Kafka working on something per unit though? Maybe, okay,
Per unit is the tenant, the residential occupancy.
okay.
So there's nothing,
Councilmember,
is there anything regulating commercial vacancy
As far as what?
as far as fees or limitations
per unit.
per
right?
unit, per,
there's no incentive to be on the market.
per structure?
I'm sorry, Councilman Cummings, what was?
Just, there's no incentive beyond the market to rent, obviously.
But the thing is, he is actively listing the property while he's doing, he's
Sure.
invested in the property, he's actively trying to list it. We did meet with him, he's sincere, has it with brokers, they're trying to lease out the space.
So,
The problem in part is that the ceiling heights and the way the building's configured, because of the way it was built, it's obsolete. So part of the permits are, he has to reconfigure the lobby, the entranceway, and the way of ingress and egress between floors. If I looked at it right now as a tenant, and I had to bring my law firm in through a back door or whatever, up a hallway, I would rather look at another building that has a more modern fit up. And that's what he's doing. He's investing by putting the money into the building with the permits to change the lobby, change the ingress and egress. He's got 4 separate permits out right now to reconfigure it.
So he is in possession of the permits.
He's been there for 2 years. Yeah, he's had the permit since 16 and 17. The work is being done there. Sharon inspected it with him, and she saw the work being done. We're putting in there's no sprinklers on the 2nd and 3rd floor. He has to install sprinklers up there. So if I'm a tenant, I'm going to a building of that vintage in Troy without sprinklers, I would choose one with sprinklers. So that's when you say that what drives the sale price or the market value, that's it. If I have a building that's 1/3 occupied, I'm an investor, I have to put sprinklers in 2/3 of the building. I've got to reconfigure the halls in order to make it competitive with the market. That's what this value is reflecting. He paid $875 for it. It was
Yeah.
listed with a broker.
And this even furthers my concern more, Dan, that he's in the process of renovating the building and a reduction of this size is being recommended. I
So
would
as soon
feel
as-
more comfortable after.
Oh, so as soon as it's done,
Well,
we'll reassess it, right?
Well, okay, the option is if we don't do this and we get it appraised, I can guarantee you it's going to appraise for less than $1 million. So the further this gets kicked down the road, it's going to add to additional expenses. We have to go to trial, it's going to be interest on the years, and the refund's being waived to the city. I think that this value that we're agreeing to reflects the market value. The $875, this property was marketed by Pioneer with a broker. It's exposed to the market, and this is what was paid. People look at this building and they said because of the lack of sprinklers, because of the way it's configured, it's just not as attractive an investment as other
Yeah.
properties.
If that's fair.
Council President.
Yep,
What's the actual,
Councilmember.
thank you, what's the actual mechanism for that reassessment? You mentioned the 25%. What does that actually look like? The assessor's office gets involved? Is there an automatic?
Yeah, what happens is when certificates of occupancy are put in, the code lets the assessor know, and then we take a look at it. In the settlement, we usually work in that they file rent rolls with us by February 1st. So if we have a rent roll, we have the rent rolls for the last 2 years, and it's just Pioneer, that's it. So as part of the settlement, we would have a rent roll submitted February 1st or March 1st of each year.
Chair,
Thanks.
Councilmember Kennedy.
Counselor, are you aware whether or not the property owner is receiving any historic preservation tax incentive or credit?
Good
No, that's
question.
no idea.
Can you get that answer? Thank you. Some good questions. All right. I would like to table until the April meeting if you all feel comfortable
What's the
with that.
financial burden?
Yeah. So I'm going to make a motion to table.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? All right, so we're gonna just table this, Dan, okay, but we'll bring it back in 2 weeks. Resolution 22,
Council President.
oh, sorry.
Mayor Miho.
Could you let the administration know what information?
Yes,
to make
yep.
determinations
We'll-
so we can have that for you?
Yep, we'll get it all together and I'll forward it to you, Mayor.
You can-
Yeah.
I'd like to know the process
Yeah.
of the CO,
Do you wanna send, how about, we'll
Yeah.
send it separately to you, our questions.
Right.
And I'll send you what I sent to the council members, okay? Perfect, thanks, Mayor. Resolution 22. Resolution supporting modification of the CSX Railroad crossing on Main Street to improve vehicular, pedestrian, and bicycle safety in conjunction with the South Troy Industrial Park Road project. Council President Mantello, at the request of the administration, do I have a motion?
Motion.
Motion, Councilmember Cummings, do I have a second?
I'll make a second.
Second, Councilmember Kennedy. Steve? So we're being asked for $80K toward the total,
Yes, so we identified funding to improve the crossing on Main Street, which originally wasn't part of the plan here when the road was intended to go south through the King Tools location. So there's $800,000 approximately worth of upgrades that need to be undertaken by the city as part of this project, which includes, so there's Department of Transportation with, working with us, identified some traffic safety funding. The required match is $80,000 on the part of the city, and since we will be putting in sidewalks as well, and crossings there across that line, the $80,000 to save $800,000 out of the total budget of the project makes sense to us. And well, initially, we asked for the public hearing to be held on this, and the mayor sent a letter out on that, but it also requires a resolution of support from the city council and a commitment to funding. Obviously, the funding will be part of the budget for 2019 or 2020 as it occurs. We'll be looking at that further over the rest of this year.
Chair.
so we don't make the budget transfer yet, correct?
Correct, it's just a resolution in support.
Okay. It's a commitment to say that we're going to support this.
Yes.
Okay. Councilmember Cummings?
Do you have a sense of what are the improvements to help trucks be able to get over the rails better, help pedestrian?
Oh, there's
What are the actual, do you have a sense of what the actual
the
changes to
improvements,
that?
so there's two crossings there. There's like the active one and really it's almost inactive. So we'd be removing one of the two crossings and then upgrading one of them for trucks, as well as there will be sidewalks going in. There's no sidewalk crossing there right now.
You're talking
There
about,
will be sidewalks on the north side of the street,
we're talking about Main Street.
Main Street.
There's a second crossing on Main Street?
They're right next to each other. One of them's might not even show up there. It's in such poor condition.
Oh, were you talking about down at Polk Street?
We're talking about Main Street
Main Street crosses,
next to each other.
oh, I see.
oh, yeah.
So
And
there's two sets of tracks there.
So one will be removed. There'll be, obviously, the rail will be upgraded, the paving will be improved, and there will be sidewalks placed on the north side of the road.
Will this help trucks be able to get down to the South Shore Road? Is this the main route by which
This will be the
trucks
main
will access
entrance and
the?
exit in now. It's the southern terminus of the new road.
And then
And, Mayor, can you send us a copy of the letter that you sent to DOT for the administrative hearing?
Sure.
Perfect, thank you. Anything else, Steve?
And at the time, it was, we just needed the request for the public hearing, and then they came back and asked for additional
Okay.
backup, for additional support.
You know what, maybe can you put this on the next planning at some point, a future planning meeting, just to get a total update on this effort?
Project?
Yeah,
Sure.
okay. Anything else? All right, all in favor? Opposed? Resolution
Thank you.
22 carries 4-0. Thanks, Steve. That concludes our meeting. There is no final public forum. I thank everyone for coming. Do you have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion.
Motion, Councilmember Kennedy, second, Councilmember December, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? 4-0. Finance is closed. Thank you. Not bad. I said about 45 minutes.
But that's-